So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is criticizing the Democrats, which is not surprising because she criticizes them plenty. But this time, she's criticizing them for something that is surprising, and that's being too opposed to Republicans. So this is an article that's from the Western Journal. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez calls out fellow Democrats for being too reflexively anti-Republican. AOC joined a growing number of Democrats who are seeking to work as much as possible with President-elect Donald Trump in his second term. So already that framing is a little bit weird, as much as possible. That's not necessarily what she's doing here. And to the extent that there is anything possible to work with Trump in his next term for Democrats, there's really not that much. So that's just some broader context. AOC, who belongs to the progressive faction of her party in Congress, said in remarks to Punchbowl News on Wednesday that she will support policies from Trump that align with her beliefs. So that's normal. The reason why I think oftentimes Democrats occasionally lose elections is because we are too reflexively anti-Republican and that we don't lean into an ambitious vision for working class Americans strongly enough, she told the outlet. Punchbowl indeed reported that many other Democrats are taking an approach different from the resistance-style efforts seen during the first Trump administration. Particular issues on which some Democrats think they can find common ground with the incoming commander-in-chief include securing the border, reforming wasteful government spending, and advancing certain economic reforms. So there's some merit to some of that. There is. You got to give credit where it's due. So with regard to the economic reforms, Bernie Sanders recently introduced a bill that would address the credit card issue that Trump talked about. He put a Trump proposal on that issue in his bill, or he's planning to, I should say. He recently said he would put a bill that does that. There's also the issue of government spending. Let's face it, progressives, we understand that the military budget is kind of out of control, the Pentagon spending. They keep failing their audits. So when Elon Musk, who is part of the incoming administration in the form of Doge, indicates we should cut the Pentagon spending, guys like Bernie Sanders say, you know what, you're right. I'll work with you on that. And that's totally reasonable because he's not really compromising on his progressive principles. He's saying, oh, look, this broken clock was right today. So we're gonna have to work with them on it because we want to get stuff done that helps the American people and that reduces government inefficiency. Quote, I don't think the American people want extremism, but they do want changes at the border, Florida Representative Jared Moskowitz told the outlet. The lawmaker said that his party is trying to address the election loss by acknowledging that they were out of touch with voters on particularly important matters like immigration. Okay, this is worth addressing. Yes, immigration was an issue at times that Democrats were out of touch with the voters for. And I know not all Democrats say this, but you can't act like hesitancy towards immigration, illegal or legal, is a result of racism. You cannot do that. You cannot attribute like negative feelings, hatred, bigotry to Americans who just have this opinion on this political issue that affects the entire country and especially affects certain states, those border states. So yeah, there's some truth to the idea that Democrats are out of touch on immigration. I'll say that. And I'm not one to fearmonger about immigrants or say, oh, they're coming to take your jobs and kill you and rape you. But, you know, there can be downsides with immigration. And you're not racist for pointing it out. So on some of these issues, we were to the left of the American people, Moskowitz admitted. Several Democrats support the Lake and Riley Act, an immigration reform bill that passed the House on Tuesday. 48 Democrats in the lower chamber voted for the bill, an increase of 11 votes from the faction during the last Congress, according to Punchbowl. So yeah, I have not read the Lake and Riley Act, but I did hear a lot of pushback against the Democrats for saying that they were going to vote against it and that maybe it's just motivated by the fact that it's Republicans pushing for it and that it's a tough on immigration bill. I'll have to read that to really come to a conclusion about it, but I don't know yet if there's merit to that criticism of the Democrats. So what AOC said here, let's talk about this. Democrats being too reflexively anti-Republican. Is it true? At times. At times it is. Now, I think more of what we've got going on here is Democrats being reflexively anti-Trump because, I mean, think about what the Democrats did during the Biden administration. They worked with Republicans on so much legislation on a bipartisan level, President Biden signing it, bipartisan infrastructure bill, like just getting stuff done for the American people. And the Democrats didn't have to compromise. They welcomed the Republican votes. They worked with the Republicans. Republicans signed on to the Respect for Marriage Act. They worked with them on that. So no, Democrats are not overall too reflexively anti-Republican. That's an entirely different conversation between whether Americans are too reflexively anti-Republican. I certainly know a lot of people who just hear the word Republican and they start having convulsions and getting disgusted. And I think that's a little ridiculous because not all Republicans are the same. Just because our recent Republican presidents have not been particularly good for our country, and just because a lot of the times that Republicans have held majorities in the House and or the Senate have not been good for our country, does not mean that you should just get the ick whenever you hear the word Republican and refuse to work with anyone who is a Republican member of Congress or talk to anyone, family member, friend, whatever, acquaintance who is a Republican. But let's face it, Democrats are totally right to be resistant to Trump's new administration. And if AOC thinks that that's incorrect, I really would question her. I would question her commitment to progressive values because that just seems like an avenue to compromising on your principles. Just saying, well, Trump got elected. Maybe if we do what Trump does, we'll get elected. And it's like, it's not how that works. You do have to offer a different vision. You have to offer a different one. In the 1930s and the 1940s, Democrats and Republicans were pretty similar. I mean, after 1932 with FDR. Alf Landon, the Republican nominee in 1936, said, oh, you know, I love the New Deal. I think FDR's just gotten a little aggressive or regressive with it, a little over the top, you know. And he lost in a landslide. So when Republicans act like Democrats, things don't go well for them. When Democrats act like Republicans, things also don't go well for them. So AOC and progressives in Congress, don't take away the wrong lessons. Yes, work with Republicans where there is common ground. Work with them where you think that you can convince them, but there might not be common ground yet. But do not just become Republican light. We need to rally up the troops, bring them home, so to speak, for the 2026 midterms, get everyone ready, fire up the base, because the Democratic base is not going to get fired up about just a bunch of Republican light policies or Democrats who simp for Republicans and say, well, maybe we can work together on some stuff, gosh golly. No. And we've already seen MSNBC is losing viewers because they're acting way too compromising toward Trump, way too sympathetic toward the guy. So, like, where the heck is the alternative here? We need to be the alternative. We need politicians who are ready to be the alternative. So work with them where you agree, where you firmly agree. Not just where you half agree, but where you fully agree. But on the rest of that stuff, oppose them fervently. Americans do not want a diet Republican Party. They want a Democratic Party that stands up for progressive values. How progressive? I don't know. The economy, all those types of things, they dictate how well Democrats do. The national scene, the international scene. Americans could vote for a centrist Democrat. They could vote for a far left Democrat. Things just need to be going well. Progressives, Democrats just need to show the American people what progressive policy can do to help them. And of course, at times, moderating your tone is necessary. So not going too hard on social issues, not going too woke. Yes, we do need to moderate because being progressive, being socially progressive, open-minded, it is a good thing. But it can go too far to the point where Americans get closed-minded, where progressives become closed-minded and embarrass themselves in front of Americans and lose in crushing election defeats. So yeah, AOC, and then, this isn't even talking about the hypocrisy angle. When have Republicans criticized each other for being too reflexively anti-Democrat? When have they done it? When have they done it? When have they done it? They don't do that. They work with Trump and they toe the party line, basically. They don't criticize each other for going too hard on their political opponents, unless maybe their name is Mitt Romney, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, former Senator Jeff Flake, Ben Sass. There's a few of them, but it's pretty darn rare. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Is AOC right? Is AOC dead wrong? Is it a mix? Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like, comment, or subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next video.